North and South Korean top diplomats speak in Manila, South Korean media reports. http://cnn.com/knics/dam/assets/170718080583 Kim Jong-un Moon Jae-in large 169. JBG. Ultimately, President Moon Jae-in is a strong believer on dialogue and wants to get things on a different track with North Korea, said John Delury, an associate professor at Yonsei University's Graduate School of International Studies in Seoul. According to South Korean news agency Yonhap, citing an unnamed government source, Ri told King during their meeting Sunday that South Korea's offer of talks lacked sincerity. At the same forum a year ago, South Korea's former Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se also talked briefly with Ri. U.S. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, who is attending the forum, skipped the gala dinner where the two ministers spoke but is expected, along with the 24 other top diplomats from the region, to be in the same room as North Korea's representative at a session later Monday. However, they are not expected to meet one-on-one. Tillerson, "We'll talk when the conditions are right." At a news conference in Manila Monday, Tillerson said North Korea's latest round of sanctions shows that the international community was united in its response to Pyongyang's long-range ballistic missile tests on July 4 and July 28. Weapons experts say both of the missiles might have been able to reach the mainland United States if they were fired properly rather than at a higher angle. "We hope again that this ultimately will result in North Korea coming to a conclusion to choose a different pathway, and when the conditions are right that we can sit and have a dialogue around the future of North Korea so that they feel secure and prosper economically," Tillerson said at the news conference. The US has long said it would agree to talk only if North Korea agrees to denuclearization, something many analysts believe is unlikely. China, North Korea's main ally and economic benefactor, said Sunday that the situation on the Korean Peninsula situation had reached a critical point of crisis, but added that it was turning point for negotiations. Sanctions are necessary but in no way the ultimate purpose. Imposing fresh sanctions is aimed at bringing the conundrum back to the negotiation table, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi said. South Korean President Moon Jae-in, left, and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, right. Trump and Moon speak. South Korea's President Moon and U.S. President Donald Trump also spoke Sunday evening Washington time about the situation in North Korea and the fresh round of UN sanctions imposed on North Korea. South Korean presidential spokesman Park Soo-hyun said that Moon told Trump it's important to show North Korean leader Kim Jong-un that doors for dialogue are open if it takes the right path of giving up its nuclear programs. The two leaders affirmed that North Korea poses a grave and growing direct threat to the United States, South Korea, and Japan, as well as to most countries around the world, the White House said in a statement Sunday. Trump tweeted that he was very happy with the sanctions, which were unanimously approved by the United Nations Security Council 2 days ago. "We'll know it when we see it." North Korea sees its weapons program as the key to preventing US-led attempts at regime change, and the July missile tests showed Pyongyang may have passed an important threshold in its quest to obtain the ability to hit the US with a nuclear warhead. Why North Korea wants nukes and missiles. North Korea has long maintained it wants nuclear weapons and long-range missiles in order to deter the United States from attempting to overthrow the regime of Kim Jong-un. Pyongyang looks at states like Iraq, where former dictator Saddam Hussein was overthrown by the United States, and Libya, the country's late leader, Muammar Gaddafi, gave up his nuclear ambitions for sanctions relief and aid, only to be toppled and killed after the US intervened in the country's civil unrest, and believes that only being able to threaten the US homeland with a retaliatory nuclear strike can stop American military intervention. The reality is that the United States is now vulnerable to North Korea's nuclear-armed missiles, and has no choice but to live with that reality, non-proliferation expert Jeffrey Lewis wrote in an opinion piece for the New York Times Thursday. The UN measures were implemented in order to make it harder for North Korea to make money across the globe. They target North Korea's primary exports, including coal, iron and seafood, and attempt to cut off its additional revenue streams by targeting some of its banks and joint ventures with foreign companies. Trump's team has made it clear it wants the international community to put pressure on North Korea, by isolating the country and depriving it of cash in the hopes that Kim Jong-un will put his nuclear weapons program on the negotiating table. The best signal that North Korea could give us that they're prepared to talk would be to stop these missile launches.
It's time to kick it old school.
We've not had an extended period of time where they have not taken some type of provocative action by launching ballistic missiles, Tillerson said at a news conference.
Yeah.
When asked how long Pyongyang would need to stop launching missiles for, or if they would need to start dismantling their nuclear weapons program before talks, Tillerson said, "We'll know it when we see it. This isn't about a specific number of days or weeks. This is really about the spirit of these talks and when they can demonstrate they're ready to sit with the spirit of finding a way forward in these talks by no longer conducting these missile tests," Tillerson said. "It is all about how we see their attitude toward approaching a dialogue with us. Some analysts have expressed doubt, however, that the sanctions can stop the North Koreans, due to the regime's ongoing commitment to its nuclear program, which they believe would be the last thing that would see spending cuts." North Korea is governed by a military-first policy enshrined in its constitution.